Barry Gibb was born Barry Allen Crompton Gibb on September the 1st, 1946, in Douglas, on the Isle of Man. From an early age, it was clear that he was destined for a life in music. The second of 5 children born to Hugh and Barbara Gibb, Barry showed a natural gift for melody and songwriting that would eventually make him one of the most influential figures in the history of popular music. When the Gibb family relocated to Redcliffe, Queensland, Australia, in the late 1950s, Barry, along with his younger twin brothers Robin and Morris, began performing locally. Their vocal harmonies quickly drew attention, laying the foundation for what would become the Bee Gees. Barry, even as a teenager, emerged as the creative anchor of the group, not only serving as their lead vocalist but also becoming their principal songwriter. His ability to craft songs that carried both emotion and storytelling set him apart long before the Bee Gees became a household name. By the mid-1960s, the Gibb family returned to England, where the Bee Gees found their first wave of international stardom. Songs such as New York Mining Disaster 1941, To Love Somebody, and Massachusetts established them as one of the era's premier vocal groups. Barry's talent for writing songs that spoke directly to the listener's emotions ensured that the Bee Gees stood out in a crowded music scene. Then came the 1970s, when the group transformed themselves and became the heartbeat of the disco era. Barry's falsetto, showcased in timeless hits like Stayin' Alive, Night Fever, and How Deep Is Your Love, became instantly recognizable around the globe. Their work on the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack catapulted them into cultural immortality, selling tens of millions of copies and forever linking their sound with one of the most iconic moments in popular music. Barry Gibb's soaring voice and songwriting brilliance defined not only the Bee Gees' career, but an entire era of music. Even after the Bee Gees' final studio album in 2001, Barry's creativity never waned. He collaborated with legends such as Michael Jackson, co-writing and recording All in Your Name, and also supported his son Steven's musical career, while continuing to release his own heartfelt songs. His presence as a mentor on American Idol in 2007 introduced his wisdom and warmth to a younger generation, further solidifying his status as an elder statesman of music. Beyond his own performances, Barry penned hits for some of the biggest stars in the industry: Barbra Streisand, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, and Diana Ross among them. His versatility proved that his genius extended far beyond the Bee Gees' catalog. Yet Barry's journey was also marked by tragedy. He endured the devastating loss of his brothers, Maurice in 2003 and Robin in 2012, but continued to carry the Bee Gees' legacy with dignity and resilience. Over 6 decades, he has sold hundreds of millions of records, earned countless honors, and was knighted in 2018 for his contributions to music and charity. Through it all, one constant in his personal life has been his enduring marriage to Linda Gray, whom he wed in 1970. Together they built a strong family, raising 5 children, and Linda's unwavering support has been the foundation on which Barry has balanced his extraordinary career. But while Barry Gibb is often celebrated for his own legacy, at 79 he has chosen to reflect on the artists who inspired him most. None more profoundly than Roy Orbison. For Barry, Orbison wasn't just a fellow musician, but a revelation. Roy had one of the most extraordinary voices I have ever heard in my life, Barry once said. It wasn't just singing, it was as if he was pulling something down from the heavens. You could feel every ounce of pain, joy, and longing in his voice. Nobody could do what Roy could do. As a young man, Barry was deeply moved by Orbison's haunting songs, such as Crying, Only the Lonely, and Oh, Pretty Woman. While Elvis Presley may have lit the spark for many, it was Orbison who showed Barry how powerful it could be to channel raw, unfiltered emotion into music. Barry still remembers the first time he met Roy Orbison, describing the experience as both surreal and humbling. Offstage, Roy was gentle, soft-spoken, even shy. But when he stepped to the microphone, he transformed into a giant. That quiet humility left a lasting impression on Barry, who admired Orbison's ability to let the music speak for itself. The two crossed paths many times, and Barry was struck by how Roy never carried himself with ego, even at the height of his fame. To Barry, that made Orbison's artistry even more powerful. He also saw parallels between Orbison's career and the Bee Gees' own journey. Both endured incredible highs and crushing lows, yet both found ways to reinvent themselves. Orbison's resurgence in the late 1980s, especially through the Traveling Wilburys alongside Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, Jeff Lynne, and George Harrison, was particularly inspiring. Seeing Roy make that comeback was incredible, Barry said. His voice didn't age. His artistry didn't fade. It only grew stronger with time. Orbison's sudden passing in 1988 at just 52 years old was devastating for Barry, who described it as the loss of one of the world's greatest treasures. Even now, decades later, Barry admits that Roy Orbison's influence still lingers in his music. Every time I walk into a studio, there's a part of me that asks, would Roy approve of this? Would he think this is real? Because Roy never faked anything. That's the legacy he left for all of us. In his final reflections, Barry describes Roy not just as a singer, but as something larger. An emotion, a spirit, a force that transcended music. He taught me that music isn't about showing off, Barry said. It's about truth, and for that, I will always be in his debt. At 79, Barry Gibb remains the last surviving brother of the Bee Gees, carrying both the weight of his family's legacy and the memory of friends and inspirations like Roy Orbison. His words today serve as both a tribute and a confession, an acknowledgement that even after decades of fame, loss, and triumph, the truths that matter most in music come from honesty, vulnerability, and the courage to feel deeply. For Barry, and for all who listen, Roy Orbison will always represent that truth.